what does a healthy diet look like? We've got to take into account a few factors to put together what constitutes an actual healthy diet, because it's not all just about how many calories you're eating. That does play a part though. What we're looking at is micronutrients, macronutrients, and quantity, which is where your calories come in. So micronutrients, we're going to start there, and it's often overlooked. In fact, it's nearly always overlooked when people talk about diet. Your micronutrients are your vitamins and your minerals. It's the quality of the food that you're eating. So let's take a very simple example. We'll take an apple and we'll take a Mars bar. The apple has much better micronutrient quality than the Mars bar does. Ergo, the apple is better for you. Not better for you because it has less calories intrinsically. Actually better for you because it is a better quality of food. It has the vitamins and the minerals, and it also has the fiber. Okay, so it's not just about the calories. Yes, there's more calories in a Mars bar than an apple, but calories only really matter for those people who are either training for something and they need to make sure they're eating enough calories, or for the people who are trying to reduce their body fat and lose weight, so they need to make sure they're eating a few less calories. Okay, so that's your micronutrients, and you want to make sure that you've got a nice broad range of micronutrients in your diet. That might look like a large quantity of fruits and vegetables throughout the day, and a nice variety of fruits and vegetables, or plants is a good way of thinking about it, because your micronutrients are found in everything from, good news here, coffee. Okay, so this is bean coffee, so a coffee bean is a plant, right? Micronutrients in your coffee, if you're taking it from coffee beans, you'll get micronutrients in your herbs and your spices, and you'll get micronutrients spread throughout your fruits and your vegetables. So a broad variety could mean that you're taking care of spices when you're cooking, as well as lots of different fruits and veg. Now, you've heard of macronutrients probably. Macronutrients are your protein, your carbs, and your fat. The ones that we want you to concentrate on is your protein primarily, and let's make sure that you're getting enough protein. So what does that look like? I think the government recommendation is something like 50 grams a day. For the vast majority of people, that is nowhere near enough. We have a very minimal recommendation of 100 grams of protein a day, but that is just your starting point, your kicking off point, because we know for a lot of people that is still a huge difference, and they've really upped their protein intake if they're hitting 100 grams a day. Now, let's remember that 100 grams of protein is not 100 grams of chicken, it's the protein within the chicken. If you're not sure how much protein is within a food, then you need to record it on an app, something like MyFitnessPal or Chronometer, and that will extract the protein quantity for you, and you don't need to work it out on a piece of paper. Enough protein in a day with that minimum of 100 grams, but we could up that. If you're wanting to have better body composition, less body fat, and lose weight, then you're probably going to have to up your protein quantity above that. And that usually comes in at something like 0.7 times your body weight in pounds. Okay, so 0.7 times your body weight in pounds. So take your body weight in pounds, say it was 180 pounds, and multiply that by 0.7, and that will give you a rough estimate of the number of grams of protein that you should eat per day. Now, you don't need to be absolutely like to the grams specific about this. If you're getting within 10 or 20 grams of that above or below every day, then it's going to average out and it's going to be pretty good. Okay, now you might want to be more nuanced about that if you're trying to strength gain, but we'll talk about that in a more specific discussion in the future. Now, so that's your protein quantity. We also maybe want to have a look at how many carbohydrates you're eating, because once you've got your protein taken care of, you've got calories left to be used up by carbohydrates and fat. Now, we can get really super geeky about this, and we can start like how much carbs. The vast majority of people do not need to worry about this, okay? As long as you're eating some carbs and some fat, then you're probably doing okay. We're basing our main quantity round about the protein. So The carbohydrates, just make sure that there are carbohydrates in there. If you are doing a lot of exercise, for example, you're a CrossFitter, then you might want to up the carbohydrate intake a little bit. But to be honest, it averages out about right for most people, especially if you keep your fats at about 50 to 70 grams of fats per day for a healthy adult. Okay, so those fats, you're trying to make them healthy fats, so that's coming out of avocado oil, extra virgin olive oil, nuts, seeds, oily fish. Okay, great sources of good quality oils for your body, and that is going to help keep you healthy. Now, you need fats within your diet to be able to absorb those vitamins that you're eating from your micronutrient dense foods. Okay, so we're looking at the basis of a healthy diet. That means you're eating enough protein, you're eating a broad range of micronutrients from your plants, and you're getting enough, about 50 to 70 grams of healthy fat in there. The rest of it is carbohydrate. Now, get rid of this idea that carbohydrates are breads and pastas. There's plenty of carbohydrates in the fruits and vegetables that you eat. You don't need those carbs from breads and pastas. However, let's be real. Most people are not going to eat a diet solely made up of meat and vegetables, even if that would be the absolutely optimal way to do it. So in a real world, if we can get something like an 80-20% split, our fruits and vegetables, our protein, and then 20%, yes, it's that way around, 20% of other stuff, so that could really be just anything you wanted, ice cream, pasta, breads, whatever it is that you wanted, then that's probably sustainable and it's very healthy, because remember, we've got that high density of nutrient rich food that we're intaking, and we've got enough protein. So hopefully this is starting to make sense. Now, be very, very, very careful here, because people are absolutely appalling at estimating. Okay, so I'm saying 80%, 20%, but what does that actually look like? Okay, don't cry here. What that looks like for most people is one item of processed food per day, if that's the way that you want to go. So that might be one cake with your coffee, it might be a couple of slices of bread, it might be the aforementioned Mars bar, okay, but it's only one of those things per day. Not the Mars bar at tea time, and the cake mid-morning, and the toast with your breakfast. You get the idea, okay? Now, because humans are so incredibly bad at estimating what they're doing, then I would strongly advise you to make sure that you record everything in an app. MyFitnessPal is very good. I know a lot of people use Chronometer, which I used a long time ago. I also believe it's pretty good. Now, that's our absolute basics of a healthy diet. And if you're doing that, you're going to feel pretty darn good. Now, calories. How do we know how many calories to eat? Now, there is only one way. There's only one way to know for sure how many calories is maintenance for you. And it's not by typing it into MyFitnessPal, but I will come back to that in a second. Most people want to hit the ground running. However, what I would say is the best way to do this is record what you eat right now. Don't edit it, just go ahead and eat for a week as you would normally, and record what you're eating in MyFitnessPal. Okay, now assuming at the end of that week you've not lost any weight, which does sometimes happen because the very act of recording what you're eating can sometimes mean that people eat less. Okay, but assuming that you've stayed the same weight, then that is your baseline level of calories. Let's just take a simple number and say it's 2,000 calories, and that's how many calories you eat and you stay the same weight. That is going to vary a lot from person to person, ages, sex, activity, and so on. Okay, so that is not an absolute, that is just an example. Okay, so now we want to lose weight. We're going to take 300 calories off of that, and we're going to be eating 1,700 calories now. So within those 1,700 calories, we have our adequate quantity of protein that we've worked out. We have our fruits and vegetables, we have our 50 grams of fat. And then if we eat our protein, our fats and lots of fruits and vegetables, we might have 200 to 300 calories worth of processed food that we can eat that day and still be within our 1700 calories to help us lose weight. Now that 1700 calories has to be consistently done. You can't do it Monday to Friday and then have a takeaway on Saturday and go out binge drinking on Saturday night and still expect to lose weight because you stuck to it Monday to Friday. That 1700 calories will help you lose weight if you do it Monday to Sunday. It's really easy to screw it up. It is depressingly easy to screw it up. So if you've already done all this and you're like, oh, calories don't matter. They do matter. And if you've tried doing this before and you've not lost weight, I'm so sorry to say you were either estimating too high for your number of calories or you were actually just eating too many calories and you were like maybe lying to yourself. So things to watch out for: you're making the kids dinner and you just eat some of it. Okay, that can mount up, and that stuff can mount up really quickly. For example, you're not measuring your cooking oil. You could easily be eating an extra 500 or 600 calories in a week. And that could be enough to stop you from actually seeing any obvious weight loss. Finally, I just want to touch on this before I round off, and that's when people talk about these fad diets. Now, arguably, any diet that is designed for weight loss will work if you stick to it. Okay, problem for most of them is that they are completely, insanely unsustainable. Okay, so I get the keto diet thrown at me quite a lot. I actually have no problem with the keto diet. I just think that most people find it incredibly difficult to stick to. If it's done well, it's fine, okay? People report huge amounts of weight loss in the first few weeks on the keto diet. Okay, I'm not going to say that's actually a really good thing. What that means is you've taken away the carbohydrates that you would have been eating otherwise, and you've lost a whole load of water weight. If you start eating carbs again, that weight will come back on. People report that they feel amazing when they start the keto diet. Is that intrinsically because it's the ketogenic diet, or is it because you've cut out all those processed foods that you were eating before you started the keto diet? We don't know. I don't know. Probably though. Probably. Be careful of going, this diet doesn't work, that diet doesn't work, this diet does work, that diet doesn't. You know, okay, I think I've explained fairly well what a healthy diet looks like and why it's healthy. But if you've got any questions, make sure that you ask them. I am more than happy to help you out with this, because I think people have dug themselves down through so much really confusing information out there that they no longer can see what might be true. And honestly, it's so disgustingly and awfully simple that it's actually a little depressing. I feel you on this, I really do. Okay, so any questions, fire away. I would love to hear from you.